revealing exercise.
What do you find it reveals?
Because, like I said,
What?
for me, it's revealing my mindset around money. Right? It's easy for me to make money and give it away. It's easy for me to make money and invest it, and it is not easy for me to spend money on me.
Okay, but there's nothing wrong with not necessarily spending money on yourself, but surely the game is about how you generate the money as much as about how you spend it.
Well, and like I said, that part has been the easy part for me, right? I could see, okay, I went and did this process, and I created that money. So that part has been the easy part for me. How did I generate the money? Because I see it as a service, so I'm service oriented. So I've always believed I'm going to receive money for my service. This is now the exercise where I'm actually manifesting that on paper, not necessarily in my bank account yet, but manifesting on paper and in my mindset that I'm receiving large sums of money for the service I provide.
Okay, so
that's a good exercise.
The purpose of the game, presumably, is about mindset.
Right. Beliefs received.
So it has. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, I mean it's a good game, and it's like you can visualize, and then it starts coming to you, right? That's essentially how the principle behind it. And I think we can do this instead of it's going to be costly to send it in the mail, although it would be actually nice to actually hold something. But still, we can get on a mailing list, or maybe one of us can have a mailing list where we can all log into those who want to play the game, and each day, there we get broadcasted like checks or something.
That's exactly how it comes. The check comes in my email address, and then I have to post on a Facebook group how it is that I generated the money and how it is that I'm not exactly sure how they worded it, but the way I saw it or heard it was how I spent the money. Maybe I ought to go back and reword it, and it has more to do with how I invested the money.
It was just about
reading other people's. Say again?
Just distribution in general.
Yeah. So and reading what other people, how they're using their money has been very interesting for me too, right? The thing is, I'm playing this with a lot of the personal development trainers that I've known for 30 years. The guy who put this thing together is in that Transformational Leadership Institute. He's the first guy who said to me when I was 20 that I'm not the punk I'm pretending to be, and he kind of shifted my life. He's been my friend, for 31 years now. So I saw him on Facebook, and he was doing this game. I said, "How do I play?" It's a free game, although they do have some sales around it of prosperity books as part of, so like I'm looking at the funnel too. The game set up, everybody participates, and then there's you can buy his book at a discount and things like that. So it's a very smart marketing piece as well. But it is a very revealing game. It is very revealing.
I think that one of the things that it does for people that I've seen is that they can't even envision themselves with like a chunk of money, and then how would you actually deal with it? And then once you kind of know how to deal with it, then you're up, like the possibility of it coming in is expanded, even if you don't know how you're going to make it necessarily. Just the idea that it's there, what would you do with it, is a huge hurdle.
Okay, I'll take your word for that. Really?
Yeah. Because if you've never had $10,000 in your hand, you don't know what's next.
Definitely.
Well, it's also the part of. Say again, Tristan.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Just like recalling when I first arrived here, I never really had, because of the difference in currency, really, I never really had that much money. So when I did, it was kind of overwhelming, like Andy said.
Well, it doesn't even have to be overwhelming. It's just like if you don't imagine what comes next, then there's no reason for it to arrive. It's a yin and yang thing that goes together.
Okay, I mean, it's not something I've ever suffered from, but it's kind of, you know, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich type attitude.
It's just kind of like all part of the machine. And if there's a part of the machine that's broken, then the machine doesn't work. Like the funnel, like the flow of it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean,
it might not even be that it's broken; it just needs developing.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, people that haven't had money that suddenly get money tend to waste it. So I can see it being beneficial to go through the thinking process.
Yeah, there's that too. Because that's just a lack of experience. So it's like, you know, a kid with a whole bunch of candy. What do you do the first time? You eat it all.
That's what I did with my first billion. Blew it all away. Thought I could recreate it again and again and again and again and again, and I only have to recreate it one more time. I'm not going to blow it away this time.
But that's why it's so important to reinvest in the creation. So rather than taking your check and spending it all on a truck or something that doesn't generate anything, you need to put a percentage of it back into regenerating more income.
Yeah, I have that note down there. Yeah.
And of course,
so it's.
Go ahead, somebody.
Yeah, then once you have the cash flow, you look at outsourcing and taking away the menial tasks you don't want to do.
Well, that was what I did spend $4,000 on a literary agent.
Okay.
Early on in the process. Now I've just got to figure out what they're how they're serving me. Well, they got me. That's right. They got me the gig, and they got me the gig.
Before you knew what they were doing.
Okay.
I hired them before I knew it. Hey, I just knew I needed help. Man, I wrote this blog the other day. It's gone viral. I've had people sharing it. I can't even figure out who's shared it. There's so many people sharing it.
Brilliant. What was it about?
Well, when I was 24 years ago, one of those grade schools that got shot up was my grade school. And so I have a personal experience of what it's like to watch that. And I posted about it. And I posted about my unwillingness to watch the news and get all caught up in the those questions. So, and that there is something I can do, you know, because I can't solve these problems. I can't erase that pain, but I can do something today that make the future better. And that's what that's what the blog was about. And I just wrote it. Basically, I saw a post from a friend of mine on Facebook, and she was very distraught. And so I wrote it basically as something for her to help her with her distraught stuff. And I posted it, and I've had like 27 shares on it, and I can't even find out everybody who shared it, because you click on it and I can only see 12 of the people who shared it. So
yeah.
I don't even know who the other.
Yeah. I think that's where,
20
you know,
people.
I think what happened was because you were writing it for your friend, like I said, to ease her pain. So it, you know, unintentionally you made her your avatar for, you know, for that particular post. She became your avatar. You know, basically it was for her, right? So you were
everything should be
how she would react and how to make her feel better. You're basically reflecting on her. So in that sense, you know, a lot of people related to that person, and that made it viral. I guess that's what added that virility, so to speak.
Yeah,
well,
maybe.
It's the moment, and when you write that way, it always appeals to people.
Yeah.
So write that way all the time.
Well, it was. I'll tell you what. After I wrote it, it was a very tough day, because, you know, I had to really get in touch with that part of. Well, okay, so the guy who shot up all those kids in my grade school, he went to that school when he was in my brother's class. So we're not that far removed from. That was my whole post. Is that's anybody's playground. It's not somebody else's playground. That's our playground.
And that's a huge tragedy, isn't it?
It is, and it happens all the time, and I think the news is making it happen more often.
I think there's a degree of truth in that. There's been quite a lot of surveys about media driving further issues. I don't know. I mean, it seems to be peculiar to the US in terms of quantity. I think there's been 61 mass shootings since 1988.
61?
Yeah. And okay, I know we had the
I'm
one.
getting scared now.
We had the one in Norway recently, but it's I don't know what drives these people. I don't know how to stop it.
John and I were talking about it this morning. He's like, they should just all be locked up, and I said, well, they used to have insane asylums. It's not like it's new.
Well, the problem is, of course, that governments can't afford to fund the institutions. So, I mean, from an article I was reading,
whether that's the solution or not, he's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, think about it. It's not new. There used to be a place that people went.
I mean,
well, see, but here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the just the same thing that Jonathan Budd was talking about, how we have gamified and how gamification can change the world. Well, it can change the world in both ways, and so the next lunatic is going to look at this and say, how do I get on the leaderboard? Right? So this guy who maybe 30 years ago would have just went and killed himself, right? Now wants to go down in a blaze of glory and get his name on the leaderboard on his way out.
Maybe.
So,
we don't know.
Huh?
We don't know. I mean, that's our
yeah, well, see, and that's the same thing. That,
external presumption.
I said that in my post. The guy, Patrick Purdy, he killed himself, and we'll never really know, and we'll speculate.
I mean, if he really wanted that kind of recognition, then there would have been written, I mean, if there was that much thought process going on, there would have been written documentation that they could further blow up,
See,
I
am not watching any news on this event.
I had to turn it off this morning because John's sitting there like zoning on, and I was like, "Can we be done with this now?"
My mom was calling me as she was sending me text with all the updates. I finally sent it back. I says, I do not want to know.
I mean, I learned about it through Facebook. So, I mean, every time I hear an event like this, it's more or less, because when somebody goes on a rampage, you more or less know it's premeditated. That they planned it all along, right? They get the gun. They plan when to do it. It's in the mind. I would say it is in a way a sickness. It does involve depression. It does involve angst. So, and it's their way of lashing out. But then, yes, you're right. There are several factors to this, including media right now. I mean, like games so far are quite violent. So, I mean, I love playing these games, but then it's not for everybody. If you have if you're not really well, then you tend to fantasize doing it in reality, right? For some people are so engaged into it, they want to feel they get more they want to get that thrill or something like that, or they put their emotions into something, and that's what gets into motion. It's just really sad, and like Dan said, I don't really like to hear news about that. And it's just been months since the other time, the Batman killing. It's just, again, really, that was just, just disgusting, really.
Yeah, and man, I'll tell you, so, I live in a part of the United States where everybody has guns, right? Mm-hmm. I'm one of the few people who does not have a firearm. In fact, when we had our forest fire last summer, I had some elderly neighbors with thousands of rounds of ammunition in their garage, and they needed me to move it. because it was too much for them to carry. They couldn't even fit it all in their car.
World War III?
Well, okay, so here, look, my kids go to a Christian school, and and I'll tell you what, a lot of those kids in that school have already fired their semi-automatic weapons at the firing range.
I got a quick question. Since when did private individuals need semi to fully automatic firearms anyway?
Since they were available to them. People will buy the best they can of anything, whether it's a gun or a car or whatever. So if semi-automatic weapons or automatic weapons are available legally, they'll buy them.
They will, and they will buy them illegally. And I'll tell you what, man, there are so many guns stashed away in these mountains that are non-registered. There's so much ammunition. I have seen a guy who has rocket launchers, all kinds of stuff, hand grenades.
So what is it about American society that leads people to feel they have this need to protect themselves with huge amounts of arms? I mean, I know that a third of American homes have firearms, and I can kind of understand. I mean, I used to do a lot of hunting, so I've had guns in the past, but purely for hunting. Whereas the American way of life seems to be guns for defense.
Yeah, it's like Canada just right across the border. They don't really they have more firearms, but then they don't do this thing.
Yeah, but I think in the United States,
I think that it's just because that's the way it's written in the laws. I mean, in the whatever
right to bear arms. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's what I do know. I do know that here's one mindset. If you take away my assault rifle, then you will take away my 17 shot clip, my 17 round clip. Then you're going to take away my long range marksman's rifle. And then I'll be left with only my shotgun and my pistol. And then you'll take away my shotgun, and I'll only be left with my pistol. And that's so the big fear of the far right in regards to the guns is that you take away one, eventually you'll take away them all. Personally, that would be okay with me, but that's not. And I tell you what, I can understand it more out here in the mountains than when I grew up in Chicago. When I grew up in Chicago, a gun meant jail or dead, so I didn't mess with them.
Well, that's right? The other thing is that there's a lot of wilderness history of this country.
Growing up where I live now, a gun means turkey, deer, moose, elk. My brother-in-law lives in northern Montana, and part of their feeding of their family is one moose, one elk, and 2 deer, because that's what he can get a tag for. He goes out and gets them every year.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that. I don't have any issues with that at all.
And it's that protection of, and we have the right to bear arms in order to protect us from the government, which was really why it was written into the Constitution, so that and you got to think about it. If Japan was going to come over here, and or another China or Korea were going to come here to the United States and try and attack the United States, after they got past the military, they would have to go through the citizenry. And there might be more ammunition in the citizenry than there is in the military.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of people with that point of view that says, that's how come our country's never attacked on our own land, because the citizenry is well armed. That's
basically we run on fear of loss. So there you go.
So how do we turn that around?
Hey, I'm looking forward to some kinds of changes in it, but I don't think this event is big enough.
It's not going to happen, is it? Because the gun lobby is so huge and it's so powerful. It's never going to change, and I think we just have to find a way of of dealing with it within the law as it exists, but I don't have any answers.
Well, the answer I gave to somebody else is that it's a Second Amendment right until it's your child, and then it's a tragedy. And when it becomes your child, then you'll fight for it. But as long as it's, a bunch of Mexicans who are dying in Mexico on the other side of the drug war, we don't really care in America.
What's quite interesting is, there was that awful tragedy in Connecticut, but at the same time, there was 3 people killed in Alabama. There was 2 people killed in Oregon. And, we hear about the big ones. We hear about, the awful tragedy of 20 young children being shot. But there are multiple deaths occurring all the time because of gun violence.
This is true. And that's, that's America's obsession for half of its population. And, and I'll be honest with you, the problem is that in our Congress, we don't have any moderates. And so there's no one to negotiate between the left and the right. And so we can't find any place in the middle right now because our politicians don't exist in the middle.
Well, plus I think because of the strength of the gun lobby, they're all scared to stand up and say, we need to do something about this. But none of that is helping us proceed in internet marketing.
All right, so let's talk about that. So, because that's more conversation than I intended to have about it. But the blog was fun, right? That was a very exciting thing.
Yeah, it's good. Like I said, the validity was it was a good thing to happen. So write more posts that way. Maybe you're onto something. How to maybe you can find a method and like spontaneously creating an avatar that feeds for that moment.
But that's the fundamental. Whether you're writing an email or a blog post, you should be writing it to an individual. Speak as though you're speaking to an individual.
Most people don't realize it, and even when they do, it's kind of a practice. You have to practice that somehow. It's like we've been over-schooled in writing. And a lot of times people, at least people that I've worked with over the years, they suddenly forget how to talk, and they just go back to trying to do a term paper, and it doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah, they end up writing essays rather than having a conversation.
Right, and I think it's just really super common. And you can even know it. I've gotten to where I've kind of gone to the other extreme. So, which is okay, I guess. But there's times when I could be better organized and stuff. But to get there, you really almost have to just lose all concern for what people are going to be thinking about it.
Well, you'll end up. If you write the way you talk, then you'll end up with an audience that enjoys the way you talk, and that's what you want.
Which is a good thing. Yes.
Yeah, the rest of them can go away.
Please do. Right, but the thing is that I think we don't even, most of the people that I've run into, that I've worked with anyway, just don't, they can talk a mile a minute, but then it's like, well, what do I blog about? I'm like...
Record yourself on Dragon and have it dictate.
Yeah,
well, it's always interesting, but I spoke to a nurse the other day who... has worked in an obesity clinic most of her life, who didn't know what to talk about. And you're like, hang on, you're in health and wellness and you've worked in this clinic, you have 30 years of stories. But until I told her that, she didn't see it.
Right. Most people, that's exactly the case. They don't see it at all. Anyway, so what are we doing? Kelvin and I are kind of working behind the scenes trying to beef up the member area and put a continuity on it. We should have... Was that a squeal of excitement?
There's quite a lot of content will be going on this week.
I should have the affiliate links.
We'll have the affiliate
available
links up and running
shortly.
during this week.
Cool.
And what else do you want to add to it?
Basically, there's a huge amount that can be added to it, and the hope is that the webinars we're doing will become content. So that's an important part of it. But basically, we need to know what people's problems are, so we can solve their problems, and that then becomes the content because everyone has similar problems.
Mm-hmm.
But what we'd like to do is answer the problems within the group. Mm-hmm. So there's value in people in the group coming onto the webinars. So it looks like
one of the things that I have been hearing a lot on different chat groups as the year comes to an end and people are starting to think of taxes and home-based business owner as a business, not a hobby, is how do you treat it like a business?
Okay, that's one of my favorite subjects.
How do you treat it like a business?
Somebody's.
Huh?
Well, no, because there's a certain reality. Yeah, because so many people come into their marketing. I mean, if you were going to go and buy a retail store, you would be there with your spreadsheet and your maps and all the rest of it, and you want to know exactly how everything was going to work. What was going out for rent and so on and so forth, what was going to come in, what percentage you're going to make on your goods. But when people get into their marketing, they don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, they often come in without any plan to even invest anything. So,
correct.
I mean, I sent an email to my list the other day asking, how can I help them and get them to move forward. A lot of them sent me resumes.
They sent you resumes?
Yeah.
So you sent out a job application, did you?
I didn't mention in my email that I was doing a job opening. I just said, if there's any questions, how I can help you move forward and all that. A lot of them sent me resumes. I think about 5 people sent me resumes. I don't know why.
Because it must have looked like a job advert.
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe it's your list.
Yeah, it might be. Because I guess I should find other solo ad providers.
But the reality is that at the end of the day, if you get into this in a serious manner, you have monthly ongoing costs. You have your hosting, your autoresponders, so on and so forth. And you have to look at it as a business. You have to look at it at the costs. You have to look at what you're going to invest in advertising, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's definitely something that we can
Yeah,
do.
But see, if you tell them that at recruiting time, you'll scare them away.
Good.
And that's why people never tell them.
Because I think the people that can't deal with that need to be scared away. Maybe
we should do that webinar in a point of view to try and scare you away. Hey, look, I'm going to scare you out of this business right now. I wish somebody would have done that to me when I bought my bricks and mortar business.
I think actually, when doing a sales video, I think that would be an important factor really there. I mean, to present reality, then basically you're then zoning in towards those who are really going to take action, or who are serious about getting your product. I mean, I've seen that a couple in a lot of sales videos, wherein they basically restate facts and getting rid of all these huge ideas that you're gonna have a landslide of money just because you buy the product, and then once you capture their attention, you go back to that reassurance, so that to get them a bit comfortable.
Who's coming?
Jim.
It's
Jim.
Hello, Jim.
Hey there.
Hello. I have to turn this thing down. You guys are too
Why?
loud.
Is it too loud?
Yes. Killing my ears.
Hey, so what else would you put in that membership site to beef it up?
The membership site? It's
what else would you want in there to beef that up?
I forget what all we're doing.
There's a whole bunch of stuff going in there on the Empower Network side. There's a lot of stuff going in. There is a bunch of pre-written articles are going to be available. A lot of private label rights stuff that people can have access to if they want to produce their own products. It gives them a good starting point. Also gives them good free offers for opt-ins and so on and so forth. But basically, it's to put a structure in place that people can follow if they choose to.
Yeah, what
a
happens
go-to
is
resource.
people end up wanting step by step. Everyone comes in telling me, just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do. And at some point that becomes like it's this funny transition between most of it's between being an employee, and into more of an entrepreneurial shift of your own, so that you're taking. It's Dan, but where'd Dan go?
I'm here. You know, actually, I wrote something down there yesterday in a class I said making the mind shift from employee to entrepreneur, and that it shifts through daily practice.
Right.
Now, I had found.
What people end up coming in with is, just tell me step by step what to do. I want to know how to get to. Did you see Dagan's video yesterday?
No.
Dagan, yesterday?
Yeah, I did. I did. Somebody was asking regarding,
Let me find
like, how do you get to X amount in 90 days or something?
It was $1,500 in 30 days. Just tell me how to do that.
Yeah.
I was just like, God, I want to be able to frame that way for people. I just have to like.
Because a lot of them are really asking. I mean, I've had so many questions like how to make money now, and I kept telling them, if this is it's not what you think. It does involve hard work, and you got to learn, you got to invest and learn a lot of things. But it's gonna be a fun journey. And a lot of them walk away. So it's not that I mean, I miss them, but then they walked away.
That is part of the sorting process.
Yep.
So what if you could do that? What if so when I took a course on how to write a book, right? And the lady had a actually very pretty step-by-step process. And what it was is when I went to her page, she had a list all the way down, and start at number 1, there was a video. You watch that video. It was 3 or 4 minutes. You do that step. You go to the next video. Now, I remember the first time I took an online marketing class was Katie Freiling's Unified Tribe. And she had great information. But when I, as a newbie, wanted to figure out how to do an autoresponder, I had to search through 45-minute webinars to find the answer I was looking for.
Well, that's actually
to find that one step. Well, this other program that I took, this book writing program, she had it laid out very well so that I take this step, or like when I just went back not too recently to that thing because I have to find out about getting an ISBN number. Well, if that information about how to get an ISBN number for your book was tucked away in a 2-hour seminar, I never would have found it. But I was able to go to her page, and it said, get ISBN number. I click on it. I watch a 3-minute video. I thought she could have put the form alongside of the video so I could just download the form instead of me having to go search it out on the internet. She could have gone a little more into it. But when I had, I need to get an ISBN number for my book, I could go to her page and find it fast. And I thought of all of the trainings that I've taken, that one was pretty effective in that I could do the step I want today. Because even though I probably should do a few other steps first, I could get to the one that I'm thinking about today, ISBN number. I need that. Okay, I can go here, find it, and get to it. And I think I can send you a link to that, Kelvin.
Yeah, sure. No,
he doesn't have
that. My issue perhaps is the step-by-steps are easy. it's knowing what people want step-by-steps for. I mean, for instance, I set up an email sequence. 2 secs, Andrea. Set up an email sequence, and I've done a video to explain how to activate that email sequence in your own autoresponder. But do I need to step back beyond that and talk about autoresponders first?
Probably, just briefly.
In separate
do that, and just put a headline like, if you're advanced and you know what autoresponders are already, you can skip this step. Smiley face.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great question. What is an autoresponder? Why do we use it?
People don't even understand how they, like, when people don't know what they don't know how to. I know I want to collect the name, but I don't even know what does that, and I don't know how it talks to my page that's on my website, and I don't know where do I go get that, and so that's just really, it's just like a 5-minute explanation, but if it doesn't happen,
every step of the explanation leads to 3 or 4 different paths. I mean,
right, but I'm saying like the overview is necessary, because there are people who just haven't heard that yet.
Okay, so if I'm coming in there, okay, watch this. I come to the page. I am an intermediate marketer, so I already know what an autoresponder is and why I want it. But a newbie doesn't know what it is and why they want it. So we have to have it for the newbie be able to get that, what it is and why they want it, and the intermediate to be able to bypass that, right? So as I look at the title of that, I say, I already know what it is and why I want it, but I don't know how to set up follow-up sequence.
What I find really interesting is that everyone's perception of intermediate is different. I've spoken to people that describe themselves as intermediates and don't have opt-in forms on their website because they don't have an autoresponder.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen a couple of people who are, I mean, they are knowledgeable, but then, you tell them about, opt-in forms and squeeze pages, and they don't really appreciate the need for those, and they've been around for quite a while, so it's like, okay.
But they make their money off affiliate marketing.
Well,
so they're just sending traffic elsewhere.
When you go into the member area now, that's why my first thing after the mindset part was everybody has to be on board with list building, because I've run into lots of people that I've had to have that conversation with, and the conversation never goes well. It always ends up, well, maybe I'll see and I'll eventually get around to it. And I'm like, I used to be like, okay, well, do it however you want to, but now I'm like, no, unless you're intending to build a list, I can't work with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we probably need to lead them into the rationale for building a list.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can go back through that stuff with the Jimmy Brown stuff. I mean, I just kind of grabbed things that had struck me as being third-party validation to my purpose.
I mean, like Dan said, if you were, I mean, for me, intermediate would be just, basically. Yes, like Kelvin said, intermediate may differ from each person, but essentially, those who knows what an autoresponder is already should be able to, know to skip it, basically. At least there's an option to, move ahead.
Yeah, no, I think as long as things are in chunks, it's fine. It's the chunking down that really has. Yeah. It's easier not to, but it's easier for the membership long term if you
into bite-sized chunks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And which one's the best one?
Which size?
No, basically when everybody's goes into autoresponder, they want to know which one's the best one to get. So there's always a conflict between Aweber or GetResponse or Mailchimp.
There is no difference.
I think make the point that we have a common one among us so that we can all talk the same language, but that they can anticipate having more than one in the end anyway if they actually build a business. I mean, at this point I only have 2, but I've had as many as 3 at a time.
Yeah, I've got 3 at the moment.
And it's just the way it is. It's not something to fight against. It's just part of the, it actually helps with diversification. I mean, what if one of their things goes down and you haven't backed your list up? So
very, very important.
it's all makes sense, except if at the beginning, if it doesn't make sense to have one at all, then that's going to be like, Greek. So it's just start with the one, and I think Aweber is fine. It's pretty universally available, and it's easy to do the list, pushing the lists, pushing the emails part, and so.
Yeah, I think Aweber is certainly one of the easiest ones to get along with, and they're pretty lenient.
And you know what I would do? I would say, look, I chose Aweber. And this is what everybody asks me. When they ask me, I say, I chose Aweber. The reason I chose Aweber is because they can handle a big list, and I intend to have a big list. That's what I tell them. And, I would say, here's the link to get it down below. And there are others, and you can find them as well. But I would tell them why I chose them and offer to sell it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I just think that we kind of have to legislate that. It's like when I started with the GoToWebinar webinars, and I told everybody go to webinar. Everybody got stuck on could I use this widget to make my webinars? No, I'd like to try this one. No, and I was like, go get the freaking thing I told you to get. No, I want to try this. No, I'm like, we're never going to get anywhere. And we lost literally a month with people off D'ing around on these other tools. And I just thought, I finally said, oh, I know what I have to do. I have to put my foot down. And I said, okay, that's it. Anything that is going to be with MPP related that's going to get my anything is going to be on GoToWebinar. And they went, oh. And they did it. And I'm like, so you just have to say, okay, this is the tool. Yeah. This is what we're all going to be familiar with. You want to go outside of this, you're welcome to, but we can't have that conversation in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing that makes any sense.
Otherwise, you get caught up in tools.
Yeah. And they're just there to help you.
That's not making anybody any money. It's just a whole bunch of stupid conversation about tools.
We'll be back in 2 seconds.
Yeah, sorry.
Jim, you've been quiet.
Me?
Morning, Jim.
Oh, I'm just listening. I felt like I came in the middle of a conversation. I'm just listening, so...
Okay, so you know what? Here's an analogy for you. So when I had a construction company, I hired everybody at $8 an hour. And I would tell everybody, if you buy a hammer and you have to carry a hammer and a tape measure on your belt, I will give you $10 an hour. I had people who wouldn't buy the hammer, even though the hammer would pay for itself with their raise in less than 3 days. They wouldn't buy a hammer. But that's the tool that you need in the construction business. Number one tool, a hammer and a tape measure. And so you just don't get a raise if you don't have a hammer. And I had a guy work for me for 3 years. I tell him once a month, I'd say, buy a hammer, I give you a raise. Never buy a hammer.
Why not?
So some people just don't want the
why
tools.
not?
Why wouldn't you buy the hammer if I'm going to give you $2 an hour more to go buy a $24 hammer? Man, that doesn't seem right, huh? But see, you can't make them think outside that box.
Well, maybe
I found out later the reason was if he had a hammer, he thought I would ask him to do more. And really, quite frankly, the only reason I wanted everybody to have a hammer and a tape is because I wasn't going to carry one. And when I wanted a hammer and a tape, I wanted to be able to walk over to a laborer and take it off of his belt. That's it, quite frankly. I just wanted hammers and tape measures around that I could use.
Yeah, but if you have a hammer and and you have the right tools, then you get to do more. And if you do more, then you increase your experience, and then you get paid even more and more and more and more.
Well, not a lot of people think that way, I guess.
I have 3 hammers. I don't know how I got them all, but I have them.
My wife is she just laughs at me because I have hammers of every kind and every size, and I got little hammers and big hammers and hammers I can't even swing anymore because they hurt my arm. But I won't get rid of them because they're tools, and they're tools, and I won't get rid of the tools.
But Dan, now that you're making so much money, you can hire somebody else to swing the hammer that you can't pick up anymore.
I understand, but it's still my tool, right?
Oh,
See,
yeah.
and this is something. Now, here's a little mindset thing, right? I have that tool, and I can make money with that tool. I will never get rid of a way to make money. Right now, if same thing.
There's such a
I would
thing
have.
as too many tools, though.
Pardon me?
There is such a thing as
such a
having
thing.
too many.
Um,
Or thinking you can't do it without them.
That might be true. That might be true.
Or I need just one more tool, and then I'll be able to do it.
One more hammer.
I just need one more course, and then I can do it.
I think there's an email with that, hammers and tools.
What's that?
What?
I think you can make an email with that, like tools, hammer, something to do with hammers, tools. I think there's an email.
I do actually. I have a thing I wrote about it. It's called Antonio and Jose. Antonio was never by the hammer. Jose, I remember I was looking for some carpenter came up to me and says, "I need a laborer." I looked over in the labor pool, and there's this guy with a brand new hammer and a brand new tool bags. He had been in the United States 2 weeks. He took his first paycheck from me and bought a hammer and tool bags. And when a carpenter needed a laborer, I gave him the one with the hammer and the tool bags. That guy, 4 years later, left working for me, full set of tools, a truck, a journeyman carpenter, making $25 an hour. Right, because he had the tools, he got the exposure he needed.
But it's not about the tools. It's ultimately about the mindset.
It's about the mindset.
If you don't want to work more and you don't want more responsibility, then don't get the tools.
And that was the whole point. Antonio was a great guy. He could dig an awesome trench, right? But he would never buy a hammer. And Antonio only ever made $8 an hour for me because even though I wanted to give him a raise, he wouldn't buy a hammer. I can't. That was the rules.
Well, I think that could be our leading story for the why to buy an AWeber. Why to buy AWeber? Tell Kelvin the story.
Oh, he was on the headset. That's right. Okay. Well, actually, I could probably load an MP3. I have it recorded.
Oh, we should put it in.
I just recorded it from the point of view for me to listen to the story and tell it, not necessarily to use it as a complete product. So it kind of drops off at the end because it's a great setup for whatever tool you're selling, and so I just had the story to set up whatever tool I was selling.
Okay.
So I have the MP3 someplace.
If you want to share that, we can just pop it into the back. We can pop it into the member area as part of step one. Listen to this.
All right, well then I'll tell you what, I'll re-record it from the point of view of, from that point of view. I'll re-record it to sell the tools of a network marketer.
No, the hammer story is fine.
No, I will use the hammer story. No, I will tell the hammer story and then segue it into all the stuff below us. Hello.
Hi.
But I mean, yeah, can. Excellent. What I mean is, why don't you let us listen to the one you have already?
Okay.
I guess that's what I mean. No need to redo if it doesn't need redoing.
All right. I bet. Where can I post it? I got to figure out how to post in iTunes.
Is it a link? Or is it?
Well, right now it's just something I have recorded on iTunes.
So, I don't know how iTunes works. Is there like a link to
MP3 or memo?
I do have an MP3 somewhere. I will
Google
find.
Drive.
I'll figure it out. I'll get it loaded.
do you have
I
Dropbox?
have to. Pardon me?
Stick it in
I do have
Dropbox.
Dropbox.
Or Google Drive.
Or Google Drive. I don't use that much.
Me too. But anyway.
So, Elaine, we've been here a little while because Dan had wanted it to be earlier. Because don't you have to go and do kids stuff now?
I do have to go. If I get off this,
it will still stay. It will stay intact if you leave.
Jim, you're answering my question before I asked. Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. I asked the same question when I shut one out, and then evidently it stayed intact. So
He knows.
I already know. Yeah.
Well, I'll be right back too. Catch Elaine up, somebody. Okay.
Catch her up.
What you been talking about?
Life.
Life. Oh boy, that's a big one. Too big for Monday morning.
So from guns to hammers to making money online.
And autoresponders.
How do they relate?
As you know, it's just amazing, how topics just connect to each other.
That's true. That's true.
Do you want to hear Dan's story about all of his hammers?
Sure, why not?
Okay, Dan, tell your story. If I had
I was just saying, I'm going to put that one on as soon as I find it. M4A, that's it.
Okay. He was using hammers as an analogy. If you buy a hammer, you have a tool. If you have a tool, you can build a business. But if you don't buy the tool, then you can't really build the business the way you want to. That's
okay.
Short
that sounds
story.
Good.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Dan's explanation was way longer.
Of course.
But it was fun.
In a nutshell, that's what he said.
Right.
Okay.
Storytelling, that's what makes money.
That's right. And it's fun.
Yeah. And I'm not very good at storytelling.
No?
No.
Me as well, but then, it's a skill that we, it's
I
think it's a use.
I'm very direct. I like to get to the point. 2 sentences, if it can be done, I do it. I don't like long, drawn-out things. Which is probably why I'm not successful.
Well, I guess, I think it's a skill that we all need to learn. It's what keeps, what keeps our viewers engaged. I mean, yes, we can deliver something in 2-3 sentences, but then,
I know, it's not interesting.
yeah. So it's all about making things interesting.
Yeah.
Making the uninteresting interesting.
Yeah. Like hammers.
Like hammers.
All right, Kat.
She's back.
Damn. What's Dan still doing here?
Finding.
I'm loading that MP3.
Oh.
He's hanging out.
So Elaine
Okay.
and go ahead. Elaine and Calvin didn't hear the story.
I gave them a synopsis.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he did.
It's a good story. I mean, it's a perfect. That's what you need is like the why in a, here's a reason why. Let me tell you a story. At pretty much every step. Oh, I think we can't hear Calvin anymore.
Uh-oh.
That would explain it.
I saw his lips moving. We weren't
His lips are
ignoring
moving,
you.
but there's nothing coming out.
That sounds about right.
Oh, all right, well,
No, Elaine, basically we were talking about what people need to know. And Andrew is pointing out that people really like a step-by-step.
Yes.
So we were looking at that in particular in terms of autoresponders, but in general, we're looking for...
Step-by-step on the little stuff is easy. It's step-by-step on the big picture that people are asking for at the very beginning, and there is no real overview of that except, like, they get to, okay, I get that, but now what about traffic? And then traffic hits, and they're like, they get over the overwhelm and the, it just, like, explodes. I don't know. We need to, I think, guide people through the process of list building and having a funded proposal and some kind of revenue so that they have something to work with. Because otherwise they don't have people to talk to, they don't think, and they don't have money to work with that's not out of their pocket. So that's that has to happen straight out the gate.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to happen, but of course it depends on your focus.
Ashley Porter is here.
Hey, Ashley Porter.
Hello.
Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
We tricked you. We went a little early today because Dan has to do his kids in the morning at now.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to try an hour earlier.
Oh my God, I don't know if I can get up that early.
I think you can manage it, Mr. East Coast.
I was just 9 o'clock. Oh my God.
I don't know. We'll try it. And then we're talking about doing a Tuesday at 3 p.m. webinar at least twice a month and possibly 4 times a month. One of which is
Thursday. Wasn't it?
Yeah, Thursdays. Sorry.
Thursdays?
Thursdays at 3 p.m. at the moment. And, if you can't make it, then at least it'll be there for you to invite people to. And Kelvin's good at recording stuff, so they'll get recorded. And then they become part of the content of the membership site, whatever the topic is. And the idea is to have at least once a month be just pretty much about a sales. I don't know. See, I bet we could do. There's 2 ways you could go about this. We were thinking about one is just specific about like membership drive, kind of once, not less meaty content and more about you should really join us because. But then Mark Hoverson used to do this. He hasn't done it for a long time. I'm not sure what's going on, but he used to do this I think it's been not specific to GRN all the time. He used to do a content webinar for half an hour, something that was really, you could apply to whatever. And then he would do a 10-minute team specific. So he would basically say, okay, well, this is the end of the webinar. And if you're not, if the rest of this team conversation isn't interesting to you, you can just, now's the time to get out, basically. And then he'd go on about his, team-specific, GRN-specific stuff. And it always was enticing to sit around and eavesdrop and be a fly on the wall. I mean, there was no way anybody was hanging up. But it was just a clear line of, okay, that part's over. And if you came for the content only, then go.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we have a clear line, then we can, in terms of recording content, then we can cut off at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then pitch membership if you want after that for a short period.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking that if it was done on a monthly basis, we're starting to build our content as we go along anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's once a month and there's that drive to invite people to a specific webinar on a monthly basis, then
one of the things that I put on the front of it, the front Mastermind Partner Program on the front just now, I had, for some reason, my button image was gone, so I changed it to get on the waiting list instead of get access now, because really, if we had people coming in, building up to a monthly influx and like some kind of okay, we're going to start the step-by-step together this week, or it's coming in a week and a half, and that's when you want to prepare yourself for. We could be pre-selling it for a week and then, saying it's not too late to get in for a week, and then the rest of the month could be, otherwise spent. Something like that.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it, and that way the focus is on content for 3 out of the 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean people can't come along and listen, and you can always do a fast pitch at the end of each webinar.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the monthly one is more of a dedicated. Yep, here's 30 minutes of content,
or even you just answer Q&A about everything you wanted to know, and get your decision made, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then the monthly one will be more of a dedicated. Here's a bit of content. Now let's talk about why you should come and join us.
Mhm. Yep. All right. So that's the. Oh, why did he put this here? Dan put a document link.
Yeah, he said he's
Instead
gonna
of-
posted an audio and a text. So that must be the text. I don't know where the audio is though.
Right, I found the text. I can't find the audio.
He didn't do the audio yet.
Oh.
So what we need is him. We just need it's probably like 45 seconds of talk. And I think it would probably be a good intro to that section.
Cool. Well, I won't look at it now because I'm recording this.
Yeah.
And it'll look weird.
Okay. Well, he put a link inside the MPP1 group, just to the document. So we got the story, but we need it in his voice because he's got a good voice. And we can, he doesn't need to do the lead in and the lead out. We can do that with our own thing. We can. It's better to have these third party.
Yeah. Well, when he gets back, we'll grab him and get him to sort it out.
Yeah. But I just once he told us that story, I was like, oh, we'll just put that at the beginning if you don't care.
And we can do If I Had a Hammer as the background music.
Oh God, yeah. Background music on every page.
Great.
It's quite interesting though, because when you look at videos with a background music track seem to hold people's attention more.
Yeah, they're good. I had Isaac Hoverson do me a video after I saw Justin Glover's the other day.
Oh, you got one done?
Yeah. He didn't do the same background, though, so I'm asking him to redo it. I told him to buy another one, but he, let's see, where did I put it? I didn't put it up yet. I'll have to put it up on YouTube. But, yeah, he's so cute. And there's no reason why, people talk about, I don't have any money. Go do some Fiverr gigs. Jesus. There's a 9-year-old.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but what?
I think I did share.
What?
I posted. This. I forgot the guy's name. Oh my god.
What were you gonna say?
No, there's this other kid who made something for Justin as well.
Oh, I don't think I saw it.
I think I shared it in Victoria's group.
I'll have to look. I don't go in there very often.
Oh, it's Vincent Ortega's kid.
Oh, he's good. Vince is good too. Vincent. I'll have to look at that. Yeah. So, what did you start to say about Fiverr, Kelvin? I know you're not impressed with $5, but.
No, I think Fiverr is a great idea, and it's brilliant to see, like Isaac Coverson going out there and making these videos for $5. Great way for kids to earn a few bob. But the other side of that is selling your time for money is not a good idea.
Yeah, except that if that's your only choice of the moment, that's your only choice of the moment. And a lot of people are reluctant to go ahead and do it. I'm like, you don't have $25 to do this, or you feel like you don't. You're going to get so much value for your $25. Go do some freaking Fiverr gigs. Go do some, and they're like, ooh.
And there are some good gigs on there. There's a few of the graphics people I use quite frequently. And, for niche sites, a $5 header is great.
Yeah, well, it's just, that's the other thing, is that people can just get things done. Even if it's not well done, it's just done, and you can move forward. A lot of people will fiddle around and fart around and never get, I'll use John as an example, don't tell him. He used to be that he would just not start until he had a business card for whatever idea it was in his head, and until he had a logo that went with that business card, weeks would pass. And so no work would happen, or no production, because this thing didn't exist. And and people will do the same thing with their headers for their websites. Well, it doesn't say my name, or it doesn't have my picture, or it doesn't. I'm like, then go get something fast. If you have to have it, let's do it fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's good. And really, there's people that I know have literally brought themselves up out of poverty using fiber gigs.
Oh, and of course you can leverage fiber gigs.
Well,
If you find 3 or 4 good suppliers, and you can sell their services.
there's all kinds
very,
of
very easily.
right. See, but that wouldn't occur to the folks who are saying I don't have any money. That's an advanced feature of your brain.
But no, I mean the bottom line is I think it's great that young Hoverson and Vince Ortega's kid are doing that, and they're making. I bet they're going to make good pocket money out of it.
I think Justin paid $80 to Vincent's kid.
Really? I need to look at his too. So I need to turn my middle kid onto that because she would do it. In a heartbeat.
She seems to be a real character.
Yeah, she is. She's a funny girl. All right. So, does anybody have any burning anything? Ashley, I think you missed the part about that we're working on. Maybe Elaine did too. That we're working on continuity program for the back end. I mean, for the front end of MPP. So there's like an affiliate product to sell.
Oh, what kind of an affiliate product? What do you,
the member area itself.
Oh.
So the member area will get beefed up. Can Ashley hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I can't see.
She's sitting in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little bit dark here. It's been rainy all weekend.
Yeah.
It snowed here last night.
The idea is to make a member area that's got. Don't want to hear about no snow.
Neither do I, really, but it is what it is. So.
Yeah. Member area, beef it up so that it's worth. I don't even know what price point we're thinking of. Do we know? Wait, you had something on a paper.
A couple of ideas. I mean, once we go for a full launch, then $47 monthly, or an inner circle, about $77 a month. But everyone that's already in is in and locked in, so it doesn't.
Should we do like
the upgraded prices don't affect anything.
Should we do like a $27 pre-launch round?
Well,
or
30, I think that's
37.
That's
37 would be $10 savings. That seems to be kind of.
Leave it at 20. Leave it at 27.
Okay. Either way.
Yeah, it's the price of a lunch, isn't it? So it's affordable. Depending on what you have for lunch, of course.
Oh my gosh! Every time I sit down to eat sushi with these children, it's $50, $50.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
I'm just like, well, y'all have to eat like hamburgers or something. Forget this sushi thing.
Peanut butter and jelly.
If you take them all to McDonald's, it'll cost you.
Yeah, but not quite as bad. They can put away some food, man. And when the four of us, not even John. Forget John. He just adds another, then again, 2 people's worth. But just the 4 of us, I cannot get away with definitely not under $30 every time we go out and they need to eat something. $30 gone. Whoop.
Well, my biggest boys are 19 and 20 now, and that's crazy. They're like walking dustbins.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just brings it back to the point that $27 is not a lot of money, but it's enough of a commitment to show that people are serious.
Well, I also want to make sure that the affiliate part is significant for people. What do you guys think? The other 4 of us.
That sounds good. How are you going to be setting up the affiliate part, or how will that be working?
You mean how much money?
Okay, bye.
Or I mean, just is it already set up now, or is something that you have to do? And
DAP has it built in. Kelvin has to connect the dots a little bit on the back end.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something that will be sorted out during the course of this week, and then everyone will have an affiliate ID, and there'll be an affiliate page where you can go and grab your links. I'm just trying to make sure that we can link the affiliate IDs into the webinars. So if you invite people to the webinar, now we're going to capture all of the registrations. So whether they attend the webinar or not, we're still going to capture them. And we can follow up. Because if 100 people sign up for a webinar, only 30 will turn up.
That's true.
So we're making sure we get the other 70 as well. That side of it set up. We just want to make sure we can link the affiliate IDs to the invites.
Okay.
But yeah, before the end of this week, that will all be in place, and there'll be a basic affiliate page with basic links.
I think there's a way
that we can track.
I think there's a way that DAP will. You can put. I'm sure there's a way. I have a page somewhere that describes it, but you can put on any page. It doesn't have to be the domain that it's living on. You can add the affiliate part on to the end, or something. But
it's.
So if we did, but what I'm thinking about for the people who would want, because there's some people who want to build their own list, so they could still redirect to the GoToWebinar after an opt-in page.
Well, we don't have the GoToWebinar link. We have our own link now, which registers
there's
on a Weber and on
right. But the
GoToWebinar
GoToWebinar one would have, if people want to do their own Aweber, not our link. Like there'd be plenty of people who don't. See what I mean? So they could still do what I've always done.
I see where you're coming from. But then we lose, MPP loses the registrations.
Yeah.
And we lose the follow-up on that.
That's part of the autonomy model for me, though. People have to be able to manage their own. Ones who want to manage their own leads, manage their own leads.
Okay, well we can look at that.
See what I mean? I mean, if there's a way for us to grab them too, maybe. But for me, I know that if somebody had just shown me to use other people's webinars as my lead offer a long time ago.
There's only one registration anyway for MPP. I mean, literally it's a single sign-up page for the webinar, so they can still have their own capture page before that.
Well, there's that too. Yeah, we could do it that way. Okay. But yeah, I just think that teaching people to build their own personal space, that's like got to be the mantra.
It's very important.
Got to be the mantra, because otherwise we just turn into every other affiliate program out there. Send us your leads. No,
I'm not. I don't want.
Which can work.
Their leads for any benefit other than them.
No,
it does work without a shadow of a doubt. But the important thing is that they're building their own list. I couldn't agree more. But if we capture all of the registrations, then whether people are following up or not, we will still follow up as MPP.
Right, but they have to. We just have to.
And they're still tagged.
Yeah, and they're tagged. But what we want is for people to grow into the ability to put their own opt-ins in place.
Absolutely.
And be encouraged to. I mean, that's like, yeah.
Yeah, and we will get to that point, but then we're into some bespoke programming.
Well, I don't think we have to.
We
don't have to allow it. I think we just can teach people. I've been doing it forever. I'd put an opt-in page before the GoToWebinar, and you just do it. People just
it's no different to that. Yeah, the only difference between that model and what we're doing now is that we also capture the registrations. They don't just go into GoToWebinar's list; they go onto the MPP list as well.
Well, that's a good level for our part, but. It doesn't even have to be about MPP. It can be about teaching people to work. Like Matt's supposedly got his co-registration thing in place. That's good. But it happens with any affiliate product that they want to sell. Say they find something on ClickBank. The idea of setting up an opt-in page just with a little bit of taste of what's going to be on the next page, even if it's a sales page or a webinar, people don't work that way. They don't operate that way. And I think we can underscore it, and people they're like, I don't know how to build a list. Well, there's 5 bazillion offers out there. Put your opt-in ahead of it and send people to it. Tell people this will solve the problem they just said they had.
Cool. Then we'll add that into the mix.
Because Angie.
So my week's work is now 6 months.
No, it's just
No, it's cool.
That's just I mean, I could do that in a webinar, and whether people put it into action, I mean, most people don't. They still don't. It's easier to use other people's material.
The easy way is that we actually end up giving them an opt-in page that they can use. You know, they can go and stick on their own server and use, or they can throw on their Empower blog and use.
Maybe, yeah, that will work.
Well, it's part of the step-to-step process. Isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, that's possible too. I see that a lot of people, like I really battle between this giving people everything and teaching them how.
Just a quick question. I mean, can it be possible, like, you know, the affiliate ID be tracked? You know, it's like I get what I'm just trying to say, that you know, you want people to build their own list. So is there a way for, you know, like, if they do want to, that, yeah, because I know that if they register, like if they actually buy the product, then that will have their details, and then they'll be part of the autoresponder sequence. Or is it a separate autoresponder?
This is prior to purchase. This is anybody that registers for webinars at all, you know, along the course of whatever we're doing. So.
Because I thought it was like similar to, you know, like similar to Empower, where if you put your username there, because you know, you could change your user ID. If somebody else is promoting that link and you just change your user ID, then whoever, you know, if somebody purchases that, then it goes to that user ID.
That's that S1 thing. Mm-hmm. And that has to do with whatever's on the next page. So if the what they're buying has a specific number, you know that S1 code? That has to do with it if the next system has it dedicated by username the same way. So maybe that could be tacked to the number or something.
We'll figure it out anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't want to be like, yeah, I'm not either. I have it, but I don't know anything about it. I just don't want to be like every other affiliate program in the end that just basically ends up, you know, making people some money. I want them to make their own businesses. The point is, I want autonomy is like the whole thing for me. Is that helping people find that?
Yeah, I mean, like in case of Matt, I've been sacrificing Matt's follow-ups for my own leads. Anyway, but yeah, I do get it. But now that the forward is back. You know.
Yeah, I don't want to ever like presume that I know better for somebody else's list, and I want them to have their own. I want, if I die tomorrow, everybody has their own list and they function just fine without me.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can certainly show them how to do that.
Yeah.
But I think if we show and provide an example, then we're covering all bases.
Mm-hmm. One example.
Oh yeah, one, and we'll make it really rough.
Otherwise, there you go. The other thing is that, like, if people want specific capture page things, there's like simple to advertise for Empower Network. There's, you know, these things already exist. They can go to a lot. Yeah, there's lots of places you can make that stuff. So.
But I think if we do a webinar as a how-to, and then just allow them to use the example we create on the webinar, then they have the option to get their hands dirty or just to take what's already there. Mm-hmm. But at least they'll have seen what the process is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good. Mm-hmm. So what's up with you, Ashley?
What is up with me? Well, I've just been I said what I was gonna do is from the last group meeting that we had, that I had got on, that I was gonna start vlogging more often, because I think it was like for some reason it was taking me longer, but I've been realizing that I just have to have like set things to do and like sit there with a timer and, I'm not going to be here all day trying to, research or whatever, trying to get it exactly perfect. Yeah, I think just a little bit of, the perfectionism was kicking in too often.
I think there's an app I can recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a new app I found in it's for the iPhone, and I'm not sure there's an Android version if you're on Android, but there's an app called 30/30 30/30. If you search for it, what it does is, it's actually like you can block you can set time blocks for your day. So what it does is that it's a timer. So if you put your schedule there, say let's set a task for an hour, and then and then you set another task for another hour. So once that hour is up, it'll set an alarm to let you know that you have to go to your next task.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds very helpful.
Yeah. It's free as well, so, cool.
Yeah,
free is
I'll
good.
check that out.
I see it on both, I think. I don't know. Did you watch I haven't watched it yet still, the Chris Records speed blogging part in the 15K formula?
Do what?
Ashley.
Oh, have I watched it?
Watched the Chris Records second one, I think, is the one where he did some kind of a speed blogging training.
I have been to most of the 15K webinars, the ones that they're redoing. Yeah. I'm gonna. I could probably. It probably wouldn't hurt to go through it again. But yeah, because you never know.
One of the Chris Record ones specifically was about blogging fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels much better to get more of them out and get them cranking a little bit faster. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking to see which one it is because I really need to watch that one. I need to sell a few more spots, but the John Chow blogging with John Chow thing that I mailed about a little bit last week.
Yeah, I forgot to ask you for that link. Let me find it.
I'll get it for you. Let's see. Yeah, it's either lesson 2 or lesson 3. The new ones. I think it's lesson 2. Compelling content mastery, creating traffic through compelling content. And then
I'll have to go through that again. Check that out.
Lesson 3 and lesson 5 in particular, or there were some good ideas about syndication. So one thing that I heard Russell Brunson do, gosh, it's been like 3 or 4 years ago now, and I've never implemented it, is he had a team of people with specific jobs. So one was an SEO person, and one was a video person, and one was blah blah blah. But he would do one 5 or 10 minutes training on video, and then he'd have people put it into different formats and do all of the distribution for him. Like his whole job was done just Monday. He'd do that every Monday, and then the rest of the week was dedicated to spreading it around. And if the 6 of us did that every week, things would change.
Yeah, just repurpose the content.
Well, yeah, like he'd have it put into audio formats. He'd have it put into PDF. He'd have it put into video, like a worded video, not just a fake video.
Well,
he'd have it put.
That's exactly what Rich Sheffrin's latest product was all about.
Oh, really?
Do a 30-minute audio, a 30-minute interview, and then convert it into video, into a blog post.
Yeah, I don't even think it needs to be that long.
Why don't you find a Fiverr gig for that?
Well, yeah, for different parts of it, it depends on what you want. But the thing is, just get it into those different formats, and then get it onto, a set series of, just being consistent about getting it out on these different formats, and it all points back to your opt-in, I guess, would be the way to.
Yeah.
So that could be something that we could institute, like a habit of
Well, it sounds like an ideal for a 30 or 90-day challenge.
But see, I can totally do a piece of content a week. The idea of blogging every day for me is just still mind blowing. Although the stuff that can be really good for blogs is always less than I think. You know, it's like just simpler. I complicate things, I overcomplicate things. So when I've blogged lately, I have just been sort of as much off the cuff as like my emails. My emails take me quite a while too. So, and it doesn't, you know, when they start making you money, you don't quite mind it, but until then, it's kind of a, you know,
a chore.
Like,
yeah. Which do you?
Well, I quite like.
Go.
Sorry, Ashley.
I was wondering which do you do first? Because I found like I go through the process of the blog, and I do the blog, the syndication, and try to do it in as many formats. But then I get to the end process where I'm supposed to email, and it's I'm wondering, should that go first? Should that go first? Or if it makes sense to get it out the way.
I think I do email a lot of stuff first, and eventually I might get to a blog.
Yeah.
No, that's not leveraging long term as well.
What's quite interesting is what Ray Higdon does, and his emails basically point to a blog post.
Well,
so he produces a blog and then emails a link to his blog.
When I have one,
yeah, with a little bit of a preface.
When I have one, I do that. But if I don't have a blog post, I still do email more often.
But if you reverse that, because your emails are equivalent to a blog post in many ways.
No, my broadcasts are usually pretty about like something that's happening currently, and you need to go look, kind of thing. Like it's a product launch, or it's something with a deadline, or they're not really blog posts.
Yeah.
They're not blog posty. But then when I do a blog post, I always have the RSS picked up, so sometimes I mail out my blog posts, but usually email will take precedence if I'm in there. So I don't know.
Well, I would look at it this way. If a blog post is continual content, whereas an email is 5 seconds in an inbox. So might be worth just rethinking that slightly.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes. I think it's a half and half kind of deal for me. Because there's a lot of stuff that I put in email that just is not appropriate for any.
Not relevant.
No, it just isn't. Yeah. It's just, the stories would be.
The content.
Yeah. But sometimes it's just like, okay, here's the deal, here's what's happening this week, and go here, go here, go here. Keeping people in the loop kind of thing. I don't know, I'll have to look back. And then a lot of times, I don't know why, but I don't feel like emailing out my blog post makes sense. Like there's other stuff I want to be saying in email than, I don't know.
I guess like emailing blog posts is a weekly thing. I mean, because I've looked at it, and I'm using GetResponse. I'm looking at that to set up my blog to do that as well. I'm planning to do that like on a weekly basis. I guess to keep myself consistent and updating my blog. So yeah, I mean, I guess just weekly recap of what's on the blog, like what you do, which is every now and then, just to get them knowing that there's a blog.
GetResponse lets you collect them like that. I think Aweber might too. Yeah, like here's like the ones that get the best open rate are stuff like what's happening right now.
I don't think I would get much open rate if I emailed about the Connecticut thing. Anyway.
Since what?
No, I was just thinking like at the time if I emailed about the Connecticut shooting, I don't think I'll get that much open rates.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. I did do a like one update thing that was like, thank God my kids are at home. That was about it. That's all I could manage. 9:25. That's been a while ago, right? Is that an hour and a half ago? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's coming up, yeah.
90 minutes later. I'm ragging on Jose. He said I'll probably be about half an hour, 30 minutes, and I'm saying 90 minutes later.
That's called fashionably
Yeah,
late.
we're on almost 2 hours now.
I know. It's partly because we didn't really get clear on the 9 a.m. thing. Will 9 a.m. work for you, Elaine? Like an hour earlier than we've been?
7.
Yeah.
Iffy.
Iffy? All right. Well, the only person who needed it at 9 was Dan. So we could do like 9:30.
That'll work.
9:30.
Yeah, because that'll be 7:30 my time.
See, he has to leave with his kids at half hour later, but we could just make him be. We can make him be. Make him be compact.
We can try.
Yeah, we can try.
We can try anything.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, what else? What else should we do? Kelly, I don't know what to do with these things.
With what things?
These hangout things. I mean, we're hanging out.
Anything.
Anything at all. I mean, basically it's about getting in touch. Hopefully people have questions that we can answer, but everyone seems to be very happy at the moment, so that's cool. But I think one of the great things about the Hangouts, and where I've had great value from them in the past, is you get to know people. You know, rather than just a profile pic on Facebook, you actually get to talk to people and get to find out a little bit more about them, what makes them tick.
I always think it's cool when I say something and I see people laugh. If I can't see people laugh, then it's kind of I'm missing a piece. So, see, everybody except for Ashley really grinned at that one. She's a bit of a poker face.
Yeah, I'm just observing here. Waiting to dive in.
But also, it takes a week or two for people to be comfortable talking and chatting. But they work really, really well, and so much better than the webinar where you don't have that visual feedback.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, so what's everybody gonna do next? I gotta nail down this gosh darn $1,650
I'm gonna have
thingy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a cup of coffee.
Coffee is good.
I've already had too much coffee, although it's decaf. So hey,
that's what you're not gonna do. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna get back into the blogging thing.
The John Chow stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Do you like him?
Get into that.
I'll get you a link. Jesus.
So far, yeah, absolutely. It's sparked a number of things that I need to do with my blogs, like clean them up a little bit and be more deliberate about what I'm writing rather than just letting things go. And then I've already fixed a couple of them, and it's interesting. I have like lots more thoughts about things, so I'm just like putting things into blog, like posts that are already there, and then updating.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's what I'm doing.
Hey,
I'm going back and redoing a lot of my posts that I've done in the past to kind of tweak them a little bit more and get them a little cleaned up, I guess is the word. That's what I've been working on.
Yeah, I have to say what I like about John Chow's course is it's not video after video after video. It's actually written down and you can read it.
Yep.
Silence.
Yeah, well, it looks like nobody else is doing
Really?
it. What about you, Tristan?
Oh, it's gotta be what? It's like 4 p.m. I'm gonna be at work this evening, so I'm gonna get ready for that. Still have lots of things to do tomorrow. Things to settle. You know, I still have a couple of projects on my that I need to complete. It's been a tough. You know, this one project I have has been tough. we had to claim back a lot of the stuff that companies were holding, like the domains and the hosting, which I have no access to. So I have to rebuild everything from scratch for this client, which was something that I didn't ask for. But anyway, I should be clear. I should make that really clear. Aside from that, and I need to get back into, basically, I've delved into web design or web development more, so I need to go back into blogging and affiliate stuff.
Get away from that a little bit.
Yeah, I need to get away from that, but I do still have to finish all these things, and then hopefully before the end of the, by the new year, I can be, back to fully focus on affiliate marketing.
Cool. So that's a good target. And how about you, Ashley?
Well, for me, just going to be sticking with being more consistent with a schedule and keeping a tighter grip on my time, managing it a little bit better, connecting the email too with all the activities that I'm doing too, because I'm still I feel like the email is kind of slacking, and I'm slacking in that area, but I like to get the swing of it a little bit better and build relationships with the people that are on my list, so that it can continue to grow. So
yeah. I'm also slacking there, actually. So maybe you and I could basically keep each other in check.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I'm telling Andrea that I'll be doing.
Yeah.
I need to get used to sending emails.
Yeah.
I also have problems doing that.
Yeah, again, it's that consistency, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's saying, right, I'm going to do this once a week, twice a week, 7 times a week.
Well,
I can do it daily.
And committing to it.
And also less more often is kind of a good mantra. Less words more often.
Yeah.
On blogs, on emails.
How many emails do you send a day now, Andrea, with your different lists?
Well, one of them gets 3 emails every day. And then the other one doesn't get a couple 3 times a week at the moment. It should be more than that, but it should be daily. That would be ideal. And it comes, depending on what activities are happening, it raises, the broadcast raised to as much as 3 or 4.
Okay, well, that's another one for a challenge, isn't it? At some point that we can do in the group, an email challenge.
When you're writing an email, do you write it for the morning, or do you write it for the evening?
I usually write it and then send it right away.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever time of day that is.
So but it's like, when do you write your emails? Is it when everything's done?
I tend to write them in the morning.
Okay. Just trying to pick your brain a little.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I tend to get up, I should write an email, and I start writing an email.
But you also get up very early.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not I think he was asking, do I reflect on what's happened that day, as a journal, after the fact, and it's usually not related to what just happened, just happened. It could be something that's, I guess I don't know what I do.
Yeah, so where does your inspiration come from?
Usually it's, a lot of it has to, I do open my email and look around Facebook, and then when something grabs me, then I'm like, oh, I should write an email about that. Or there's I connect the dots. There's a movie that I need to look up. Did anybody see, it was called, what was it called?
I saw that one.
What's it about?
No, it was called Working Girl.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Working Girl, and it's, I don't know if this is the right place to. It was Harrison Ford and Melanie Griffith and Sigourney Weaver.
Okay.
This chick, and this is the I don't even know if the whole movie is relevant, but there's this one thing that stuck with me about that movie was this woman. She was a secretary, and she was reading. The whole thing is based on some kind of an idea that she has that her boss ends up stealing, but the whole
I remember it. Yeah.
yeah, but her whole thought process was like she like put these different pieces, like she saw a news piece and she heard this something, I forget what, but she like put all these different pieces together and it made sense in her brain. And that's kind of what happens to me. Like I'll see Facebook and it'll be like there'll be a topic there and then there'll be something that's relevant to that and it's in my inbox and things will tie together and I'll be like, let's, mash this up. So I'll try and pay more attention, but that's kind of the gist of it. Or there'll be something that I want to put out, a link for. So I'm not as organized as I could be about doing some pre-sale value emails. I just sort of like spit it on people. But, yeah. But like this, I'm looking to see, like, here's what the one I did on the 10th. So I've done 3 since the 10th, so that's not very often. That's 3 a week or something. But it was, I just said on my way home from Vegas, and then deadline. So I don't actually necessarily write I don't necessarily write the headline first. That's one of the things that I don't do for blog posts or for emails. I might write kind of what I think it's going to be about, but I'm not locked into, like, the headline doesn't determine what comes in the content. The content in the end determines what the headline and the subject line is. So whatever gets written gets highlighted instead of like writing to the sub. It's like assigning, like an essay gets assigned a topic, write something about this topic. That's not how it works. I always write the content first, and then I figure out what's an appropriate subject line or title.
Is there a particular format or pattern or design or whatever for these emails? Or do you just like write an email?
Well, I make them narrow. I make them... well, here's the one that in this one I had this really long email. I had this one says, on my way home from Vegas, I started this super long email to you this morning. Then it was time to board the plane. When I got home, I pooped out on the couch. And then I showed a picture of Alita that Alita took with me with the bird asleep on the couch. It was about a deadline for the email marketing workshop, which is not happening because nobody wanted to learn how do email, apparently, except everybody wants to learn.
Which we're now talking about.
How to do email. Well, I think everybody here, except Ashley maybe, has access to Matt's email marketing course, which is the course that we were going to review. Have you done, Tristan, you have that, right? I think.
I have the ebook, but I don't think I don't if there's an actual like a inner membership or
yeah, he has that's one of the 4 products that come in the license.
Oh, okay.
So I think everybody here has a license otherwise. Oh wait, Elaine does not.
No.
Yeah. Do you have Inner Circle access though?
Yes.
And you have access to the email marketing?
Yes, I do.
Did you ever go through that?
Just partially, not completely.
Okay.
I haven't finished it, no.
Did you ever go through it, Jim?
No, but I just wrote myself a note to do that.
Did you ever go through it, Tristan?
Like Elaine, I just did it, like part of it.
Partially. Isn't that interesting? You're so late.
And then I got bored of Matt's voice.
Now,
you got what?
I got bored with Matt's voice.
well, most of those are PDFs.
There are PDFs that go with them.
Yeah.
So maybe the thing to do is to read the PDFs.
Yeah.
And that's one of the mistakes that so many people make is they get access to this information and they don't use it. And I appreciate, people get tied up with other things, but if you buy a course of any sort, try and set aside the time to go through it.
I beg tiny differ because I don't know if it's necessarily a mistake. I see it as part of people's process of finally getting around to stuff. There's like a point of accumulation that just like forces them to, for some people, not everybody.
I've done a really interesting exercise with one group of students that I had, and there was only 4 of them. and they had a lot of the same products. And I got them to go through their hard drives and look at the different products they had access to, and come back to me and tell me how many of them they'd actually completed. And none of them had completed any of them. And the majority of them hadn't even attempted all of them.
Well, see, I agree, because it took me a while to figure out, like, I've got all these products, and before I go out and buy another one, I need to sit down and complete what I already have. And so I agree. I think, but I would say that it would be nice for to see some of the programs where you know how much time these trainings are going to take, so you can dedicate it. You know, you click on the video and the thing is like 3 hours. So it's like, oh, okay. But some of the courses, I will say, are more organized than others, or, you know, are easier to go through.
Yeah.
I see, and I go through things until I hit something that I can like grab onto, and then I'm okay with the rest of it can go by the wayside.
Okay.
I just figure there's something in each thing, and I don't treat everything like a book from page to, you know, cover to cover necessarily.
No, you don't need to. But
I don't.
I mean, the beauty of all.
It depends on the product, but yeah.
Yeah, but the beauty of all these products have value, and if you follow it, doesn't matter whether it's a $7 product or a $997 product. They all have value, and they will all teach you something if you allow them to. And that's where choice comes in, you know, and where people spend an awful lot of money because they've read the sales copy or it's been recommended to them, and it just sits on their hard drive.
Yeah, I think it takes discipline to go through some of those things.
I mean, I think people are looking for a quick fix, and these products don't necessarily give you that quick fix because you have to put a lot of effort into figuring it all out.
Exactly.
So if you can get more engagement in the product, then people will get more value from it.
Yeah, I just don't want to. I want to be the voice of, you don't have to go through it all before you can put it into action.
You don't. You're 100% right with that. But it's like we're all talking about emails here, and there's some interesting questions, and your ideas and inspiration are great. And then we find out everyone has access to this product that covers an awful lot of that topic, or not everyone, but most people have access to that product, and they haven't engaged fully in the product. So there's a lesson in there for all of us. I mean, one is that perhaps, you know, discussing stuff like the inspiration for emails, how often they're done, and so on and so forth, is actually worth a webinar on its own. You know, even though people aren't saying, "Yeah, I really want to know that." When we get into a conversation like this, people are saying, "Oh, well, how do you do that, and how do you do this?"
Yep.
Yeah, I see what you're saying too, because it's kind of, well, for me, I learn something easier when I can discuss it, or, you know, when you could come here and you have the opportunity to discuss what you learn, and also to hold yourself accountable for what you're going to do or what you said you're going to do. So I think that's another element that would help engage, you know, your learning, your learning and your action taking all at the same time. Yeah. Whereas without that, when you're left to go do that stuff on your own, you, like you said, you might not get to it because, you know, you don't have anybody to talk to about it, or you just don't know how, you're not sure how to go through all the steps consistently or whatever.
Yeah, that's where we need to get people actually stepping up and saying, I'm having a problem with this, or how do I do this? Because if people don't ask the questions, we don't know what they want the answers to.
And it's like a roadblock that keeps them from moving forward or from coming back to get more. Yeah.
Sign language, Christopher.
Silence.
Okay.
Crazy
anyway,
how.
guys,
Can we-
it's 10 past 4
second.
for me here. Yep, sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for everybody coming.
Oh, well,
Okay.
thank you for having us.
Yep.
Kids chirping in my ear.
No, it's been enjoyable, and it's nice to meet a few new faces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice to see everyone today.
Yeah. Well, look for affiliate links and some new organization to the back office this week.
Cool.
Okay, will do.
Yeah, and we'll post it in the group as well. And let's have loads of feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, feedback is good. Okay.
All right, thank you all, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And bye.
Bye.
Later, guys.